All right. So this episode 4, was basically a tie-in to the beginning of Black Panther. Only I am so terribly confused. So, um, Kuda and Prince Tafari, or Tafari, they successfully, the prince successfully steals the axe. Which, he's like, it's an axe, what the heck? And while they're escaping to Wakanda, and the prince is just glowing at the thought of the stories that will be told of him because he was a war dog and he successfully retrieved this artifact. Whereas Kuda was being super careful and's like, oh, stupid prince. So they encounter the last Black Panther from 500 years in the future. Now, she said that I'm not your enemy, but she sure as hell acted like one. I mean, first she scares them to the point that they crash. Then she tries to open their ship so she could retrieve the axe without saying a word to them. Not exactly the way you go about saying you're friendly. But even after she shows them the vision of her timeline, Kuda doesn't want to believe her. And the prince is like, yeah, well, she's right. The queen is pregnant again, and just the royal family knows. So, yeah, she's telling the truth. And, so I guess that these time jumps are timed because suddenly she's dragged back to her time. And we see intersperses of the present and the future. And they decide they're going to return the artifact. I really, really thought they were going to kill off Kuda. I'm so glad they didn't. And, it's up to the prince to return it because he knows exactly where he found it. So he returns it, and then we see a picture of Killmonger in front of the axe, which strangely became a lot bigger. And, just him looking at Wakandan artifacts. And I guess they picked the axe to be the right one to show people that Wakanda exists because it's not obviously vibranium, maybe? I don't know. But this was the point where people discovered Wakanda exists. Now, the way it was presented in Black Panther is that the outside world knows Wakanda exists, but because of the shield, they just think that it's some poor farming country as opposed to the technological marvel it actually is. So, not sure why that was necessary, but anyway. Plus, the way time travel was explained by the Ancient One in Endgame was that, or was it Infinity War? Either one. That you don't actually change the timeline, you just create a new one. So that's implying that the original timeline should have had Wakanda destroyed, and that this is an offshoot timeline, that this is not the original timeline. Or, in the parlance of the TVA, the sacred timeline. So, yeah, I'm very, very confused about that. But it implies that now Wakanda is going to continue on. But this is 500 years into the future, so, our Black Panther, T'Challa, he already wanted to have the world be aware that we exist. So I'm very, very confused how this acts. Just like the prince said, how is an axe going to change things? But we'll find out, because 500 years is not our current time, because this happened in 1890 something. We are not 500 years into the future. So, we're closer, but we're not 500 years into the future. We're not even 400 years into the future. So, I'm not sure how this helps. But anyway, it's funny. The one time I remember check for a post-credit scene, there isn't a post-credit scene. So that kind of was a bummer. But I don't normally watch the animation projects, so maybe that's just normal that they don't do post-credit scenes in animation. Let's see. So, obviously the last Black Panther won't be. But the thing is also, okay, what else does this change? Because what is it about Wakanda that, what did they not know that this area was inhabited and couldn't understand why nobody was inhabiting? How do they explain that this area that is Wakanda, how do they explain that it doesn't exist? I could understand them not being aware that Wakanda is advanced, but not existing at all? That was the strange thing. So yeah, I was very confused this episode. It was fun. I'm glad that Kuda survived. I was really, really worried that he was not going to survive. Actually, the moment that the prince decided we have to go back, and Kuda's like, yeah, we have to go back, I thought, okay, Kuda is dead. They're not going to kill off the prince, even though he made a big deal of the fact that he's a spare. So it's not like, he has any other way of making it into the history books. He has to do it this way. And he explained at the end that this was his decision to make, not Kuda, which is true. It's not a lie. But it sounds like they omitted the part about the Black Panther from the future coming and saying, oh, by the way, don't do this because you're going to screw us over in the future. So, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he mentioned that part. Which is too bad, because he actually does deserve to be in the history books of Wakanda, because, that is quite a feat that he did. That he didn't just get into that place once, but he broke in twice. because he had to first retrieve the axe and then put it back. I really thought at some point, because Kuda, I thought, was killed, that somehow that the Black Panther of the future would come back and help him in the way that Kuda would have if he had lived. But instead, she and the rest of the Dora Milaje stayed because they want to prevent the Horde from doing their own time jump and attacking the people of the past. Which, fair. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer that people will not know of the bravery of him. So now, how Kuda managed to survive, because they implied at one point that he did die. So I don't know if the prince used Wakandan technology to bring him back, or if he was just unconscious and then he came to. We don't know. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention of this episode. I think I covered everything I wanted to with this episode. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.